Tulsi Gabbard, who, of course, is Donald Trump's pick to serve as director of national intelligence, has now reversed her position on government spying.
Here's a rewritten, simplified, and polished version of your text. Tulsi Gabbard's stunning reversal on government surveillance. In a surprising move, Tulsi Gabbard, once a vocal critic of government surveillance, has changed her stance on FISA Section 702, a controversial law that allows warrantless spying on American citizens. Now, as Donald Trump's nominee for Director of National Intelligence, Gabbard justifies her support by pointing to reforms she claims address civil liberties concerns. However, critics like Anna Kasparian are skeptical, questioning whether this shift is driven by principle or ambition. From critic to supporter. During her time in Congress, Gabbard was a fierce opponent of warrantless spying, calling for the repeal of both the Patriot Act and FISA Section 702. In her memoir, she criticized the intelligence community for its unchecked power and overreach.
Here are some issues with the FISA laws and how it was negatively impacting American citizens. So while FISA 702 surveillance must be directed at foreigners abroad that are suspected of planning or engaging in terrorist activities against the United States or Americans, unfortunately, there was a loophole that allowed for the FBI and the intelligence community to essentially spy on American citizens. Intelligence agencies deliberately search for communications of US persons within FISA 702 data or query it without court approval, meaning no warrant from a judge is necessary. And many innocent Americans were spied on as a result of this, including peaceful protesters, lawmakers, journalists, even political donors. Now, for example, even though internal rules at the FBI indicate that the FBI should not be spying,
earning respect from progressives and civil libertarians alike. Now, Gabbard describes Section 702 as a critical tool for national security. She argues that her critics question whether this change is rooted in genuine belief or a calculated effort to secure confirmation and align with the Republican establishment. The controversy behind FISA Section 702. FISA Section 702 was introduced after September 11th to monitor foreign individuals suspected of terrorism. However, loopholes in the law have allowed widespread warrantless surveillance of American citizens, including activists, journalists, and even lawmakers. The FBI, for example, conducted over 200,000 searches in 2022, with thousands of violations of internal rules. While some reforms have been proposed, experts argue they are superficial at best. Efforts to require judicial warrants for surveillance have failed in Congress, and organizations like the Center for Democracy and Technology warn that the intelligence community.
Turns out that is not the case. And I'm going to cite an organization known as the Center for Democracy and Technology to argue why. They write that although supporters of the new law, the Reforming Intelligence and Securing America Act, HR 7888, claimed it contained meaningful reforms, the bill largely preserved a problematic status quo and actually expanded surveillance at an alarming manner. The so-called reformed version does not require the intelligence community to obtain a warrant from a judge. The warrant requirement was considered an amendment in the House of Representatives, but the outcome was tied with a 212 to 212 vote. And in the Senate, that amendment was entirely defeated. So the warrant requirement was totally taken out as an amendment in the so-called reforms of FISA 702. And the Biden administration and congressional leadership insisted that senators oppose all amendments to avoid FISA lapsing. The amendment that would have imposed warrant rule.
A couple of points I wanted to make. One is, what meaningful reform? Okay, all right, you're gonna get hearings, right? I mean, the problem is that almost all the Democrats and Republicans want to do warrantless wiretapping. So I don't know that she's going to get a single hard question in the.
These powers have only expanded. Gabbard's shift sparks criticism. Gabbard's newfound support for Section 702 has drawn sharp criticism. Once a vocal opponent of government surveillance, she now echoes establishment rhetoric, calling the law essential for national security. Critics suggest this reversal is more about political ambition than a genuine change of heart. Her shifting allegiances, from Hillary Clinton to Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump, have also raised concerns about her commitment to principles. Skeptics worry that instead of reining in abuses, Gabbard might enable the very intelligence apparatus she once condemned.
Right direction here. They'll probably be like, how dare you ever oppose warrantless wiretapping of American citizens? Don't you know they're lower than us? We have to wiretap them and do it illegally. You know that, and she'll be like, no, I'm totally in favor of illegal warrantless wiretapping. Yes, I love it now that I'm gonna get this position of power, right? So, but is anybody gonna actually ask the question, okay, what meaningful reforms are you talking about? And when those meaningful reforms came out or passed, why didn't you say at the time that, oh wow, hey, look at that, they reformed 702, now I'm in favor of it? You didn't do that, because you know why? Because you're lying both times. So like, for example, Plastic Brick Dragon wrote in at tyt.com, he's a member. We love our members, become a member, hit the join button, etc. But then he wrote in, Anna, are you truly surprised by Gabbard's flip-flop? This is what she does depending on how it benefits her at the moment. And of course, Anna's not surprised. Anna's the first person who called out Tulsi Gabbard.
A broader debate on surveillance. The controversy over FISA Section 702 highlights rare bipartisan discontent, with lawmakers from both parties questioning the law's warrantless surveillance of Americans. However, despite these concerns, there has been little political momentum to dismantle the program. The intelligence community's immense influence and lack of accountability have stymied reform efforts, leaving the controversial law intact. While some Republicans and Democrats have pushed for change, the majority continue to support Section 702 under the guise of national security. Critics, including Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, have also pointed to Donald Trump's contradictory stance on surveillance. They argue that his administration's embrace of anti-establishment rhetoric, while continuing policies that expand government overreach, highlights broader leadership failures on civil liberties. Gabbard's actions, they claim, reflect a troubling pattern of political ambition and systemic inertia, which undermine public trust and leave surveillance programs unchecked. This serves as a stark reminder of the intelligence community's enduring power and the urgent need for genuine accountability.